Hi everybody, it's Lauren here.
And Kyle.
And we are the coaches at Team Cosmic Bodies. And before I start the video, if you do want to apply for coaching, all you have to do is, it's the first link in the description. All you have to do is click that link, fill out an application, and we will get it sent to us. I've just been getting a lot of questions about like, how do you apply for our coaching? And that's how you do it. So just that little link down there. So I just want to say that before we get started here. But for today's video, we're going to be talking about the athlete mentality for a competitor, for somebody that is getting ready for a physique competition, whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's bikini, or whatever it may be. Bodybuilding. This isn't really going to be as much for someone that's trying to lose like 10 pounds or something like that. This is for someone wanting to look their very, very best for the stage, because it's definitely a more intense mindset than just wanting to, lose 10 or 20 pounds. So yeah, that is going to be today's video. And we've had this huge journey. Kyle, I can show some pictures here. Kyle has obviously gotten extremely shredded here, and same with me. So Kyle, you can kind of talk about, I guess, how much weight you lost or something, and I'll show a picture right here.
Well, first, I just want to say, to reiterate, when she says to look your very best, we're talking about, like, I don't want to use the word optimal, but basically you're getting to, like, humanly possible, the best with what you got right now, your body composition in the beginning of this, and what we could really achieve in like a 6 to 9 month frame of fat loss. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you might be able to grow a little bit of muscle, but to be honest, it's about getting lean and, yeah, really seeing what you're working with within the sport, muscularity-wise, symmetry-wise, and yeah, really getting stage lean, like actually
looking the freaking part on stage. And when you get up on that stage, you know that you gave it your all. Yeah. And these are what we're going to be going over today. First, we want to show you proof, though, of like our journey. So Kyle, obviously, in his pictures, I mean, this is him in the beginning of his prep. Yeah,
so in February, I was about 192. I think the highest I got to was about 196. And so yeah, I kind of procrastinated, which we want to do a video on at some point too, about procrastinating on just getting a little too fluffy, even though I had a physique goal. But basically, yeah, those pictures are 192, 196 post pump after a workout. And yeah, the next photos are about 40 pounds. I got to, my lowest weight, depleted weight, was around 157. On stage, I probably was closer to 160 or something like that. But yeah, I lost 40 pounds, and this took me, from February 2017 to November 2017. So it ended up being around 37, 39 weeks of a fat loss phase. And
he, like, with what he did, he kept most of his muscle, and I think he was actually put on some in the beginning of his prep.
I was coming over like an an injury in my chest, and so with that I was able to recomp a little bit, and yeah, just revamping the amount of work I actually did to continue to progress. And yeah, I put on a little bit of muscle in the beginning, not so much at the end, but yeah, this is as you can tell, right, February to November, that is a long span of time. Like I went into the contest prep. Yeah, I counted my calories to the gram when I was 40 weeks out, when I was 30, you know what I mean?
And
like,
we'll get into that.
But as you can see, time-wise, people laughed at me. People laughed at me. Oh, you're gonna do how long of a prep? You don't need that much time. Oh, you're gonna lose a lot of muscle. Oh, you're, blah, blah, blah. People laughed at me. And at the end, they weren't laughing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so these are two pictures of me in my garage. Obviously, I'm pretty heavy. I was 20 pounds up from the picture on the other side. So yeah, for me, it was a 20+ week prep, and I lost 20 pounds, and I kept most of my muscle and Yeah. So that took a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, both of our pictures here.
And we're not talking about becoming like the most elite athlete. You're going to win everything. You're a world champ. You're going to win the biggest contest. It's about really doing the most with what you got. So what you got as far as muscle and how much fat you have on you and presentation, right? And we just really we try to get to the best we got in an amount of time. So it's really just about you and progressing the most of what like you can actually do. What is humanly possible for you right now in the next 6 to 9 months or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So the first thing that I want to go over is just if you truly want to show up ready, you know, on stage, you cannot do any type of cheating. Like if you are 20 weeks out and I'll give you an example. If you're 20 weeks out from your competition, you think it's 20 weeks out, it's so far away, and you're on the cardio machine and you have to do 30 minutes, but you only do 25 because you're tired. You're like, oh, it's just 5 more minutes. It's gonna be okay. I'm 20 weeks out. So not doing that like 5 minutes of cardio, that's cheating. And if you
cheating yourself.
That's what I mean. You're cheating yourself because every little thing adds up. And if you're creating those bad habits in the beginning of your prep by skipping out on your 5 minutes or doing this, then that's going to carry over to when you're 19 weeks out and when you're 18 weeks out and then you're 12 weeks out and you're still doing that, and then randomly you're 5 weeks out and you're like, oh, I better get my shit together here. I'm not ready. I'm not looking the part. And it was because you were carrying those bad habits like throughout your prep. So when you start prep, like it is go time. Like you should be doing everything to the T, like do your cardio, all the minutes. Kyle had an example when he was doing his cardio, like he did his cardio outside.
And yeah, so it's like, a better way to say it is, it's not like I was motivated. Like I didn't have this motivation. It was literally just sheer discipline. Like
yeah, it was just something in your gut.
It was just who I am, right? Like I never skipped cardio sessions or how many steps I had to do.
Yeah.
Like even because it just adds up. Yeah, it really does. I didn't, you know, skip out on that. I didn't skip out training sessions. I didn't, you know, go over my macros at all. I didn't even eat out. I just ate at home. Like it's really, and it's just like, that's what adds up. So it's like a few calories here and there, whether that's cardio or training or
taking a bite or actually something.
Intaking something. It's just sheer discipline of like, no, I have this goal. I know what it takes to really bring to the next level, like the next level of what, you know, you can physically do. So yeah, really, don't cheat yourself on these things. And it's again, it's these things like, yeah, they add up, but it also just flies by. The time flies by. Like sooner or later, you know how that happens. Like, oh, it's New Year's again. Oh, it's this holiday again. Oh, it's so fast. So it's like in the moment it seems like, oh my God, this is forever. But then it's over and it's like, wow, it's been 24 weeks. I'm done with prep. You know?
Yeah, so we're gonna go over 3 areas. We're first gonna go over training, so our mentality with training. And so usually when people, you know, they start to diet and they don't focus on their training anymore. They're like really focused on maybe like this their cardio or their nutrition, and they kind of just half-ass their training because they're like, oh, I'm dieting and I need to be focusing more. I'm low energy, so I'm eating less, and they just go into the gym and just do the movements. Like, no, you need to be freaking intense in the gym. Like that should be, and this should be even in your off season as well. Like hopefully, you know, your intensity carries over into your off season as well. But like during prep, you'll keep your intensity high, guys, because this is how you are gonna keep your muscle, and this is how you're gonna burn more weight, like more fat too, when you're in the gym and like really working hard. And yeah,
I think the most important thing she said is, one, hopefully you already have a good habit of like training hard, right? You have to have something to work with as far as muscle, right? You gotta have something to work with to diet down on. Not saying you can't recomp as a noob or if you're coming off an injury to gain muscle during contest prep. But basically, I think the most important thing is, yeah, you got to keep the intensity high. It's a huge, the other thing you said was it's a good tool and a good way we measure progress on how much muscle you're able to keep is if you keep that strength up. So as you really get advanced, you probably aren't getting much stronger or putting on muscle, especially getting stronger during a calorie deficit. That being said, if you can maintain your strength, maintain the strength as your body fat decreases, well, that's progress because you're losing body weight. And so therefore, you actually are progressing, right? Even if you just maintain the strength. So yeah, not a bad idea to still keep the intensity super high, right? Like almost go in the gym like you are, like, right? Like we vision ourselves, how this muscle part gonna look on stage, like before I chest press. How is my chest gonna look on stage when the lights come on? They're gonna know if I've been putting in the work over the years or this last.
Yeah, and another thing, don't skip a rep. Don't skip a set. I know, like if we're doing Bulgarians, Bulgarians split squats suck, you know, and it can easily be like, oh, I'm just gonna do 10 instead of 12, but don't. Like those extra sets and reps, they add up. And like I said in the beginning of the video, like if those habits will carry over like later on too. If you're always skipping out on 3 of your reps, like you're always skipping out on even a set, it adds up. So yeah, every time, like Kyle just said, like when I was in the gym and I had to do like 2 more reps of Bulgarians even though I didn't want to, like that's where the true freaking, like that's why I love this sport so much. Like that's when you're really pushing yourself.
Yeah. And when you get on stage, you know who put in the work or put in more work. It's not just like, yeah, genetics matter, but it's like who dieted, who really suffered,
who worked the hardest.
Yeah, because if you aren't doing the work, someone else is.
Yeah.
Someone else is doing the work, and they're not talking about it. They're just doing it. So yeah, and then also we'll get more into the stress and managing fatigue, but obviously don't do too much. Like don't run yourself into the ground and like especially if you're like an intermediate or a newbie, don't be doing 10 sets of 10 of squats when you're dieting and like, you know what I mean? Don't run yourself into the ground. If you're doing too much work and you still can't recover from it, like we still want to be recovering somewhat. It's because, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to like overwork yourself in the gym. That's why it's good to have like a plan and a training regimen, but like that's you know, made for you.
With the sets you do have planned for yourself, right? Hopefully you even set up a plan for yourself before you get in the gym. So, because when you don't have a plan, that's when it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm not gonna do that today, blah, blah, blah. But if you have that plan, even if it's not made by a coach, but yeah, also just making sure you're not doing too much. It's like, have the right amount of work, but with the work you do have, you're freaking crushing it. Like, you're really going all out, like, as far as like, doing the actual work, doing your sets, keeping the strength up. Definitely don't go to failure every set.
No. All right, so that's our training mentality there for you. And now we're going to go on to nutrition. And this is a huge one. Like, nutrition is everything. I mean, this is the part of bodybuilding.
For fat loss phase.
Yeah, for fat loss especially. And yeah, just how I was saying before, you know, you gotta count everything to the gram. You got to count everything. You got to weigh out everything. I mean, we do a flexible dieting approach, so we have to weigh out everything. So, yeah, I just can't stress that enough. Like, even with like your peanut butter, like you can't be licking off the spoon. Like you go like that, and you dump it in, and you're only counting that part. Like, no, put your food scale. Put your peanut butter on the food scale, and that's how you take it out. Well, I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just saying that like those extra little calories, like they add up in the end. Like that could be the part on the spoon that you didn't count. I mean, that could be like 5 grams of fat, and it adds up in the end. It really does.
Yeah, it's like people think of these calories on a daily basis. Like, I have this many calories a day, but it's not. It's really not. It's like, yes, it is, but it's over an entire contest prep of like, did you eat 100 calories more than you're supposed to every day? Because that stuff adds up. It's not just this one day. And like I said earlier, I counted my stuff when I was 40 weeks out. You know what I mean? Like, if you actually make this a lifestyle, she was counting her food to the gram. Like, like, do the right stuff in the beginning, so you're not scrambling last minute trying to see what I didn't do right or wrong, when you know, hey, I had enough time and I counted my calories. So main thing on nutrition is make sure protein's high. Make sure protein's high when you're dieting. Not only on like keeping you satisfied and your appetite, but also on a muscle protein synthesis, like keeping the muscle level, and calories. That's all that matters. I mean, nutrient timing, like, we can get really deep into the details of what it takes to really have that routine, but in the end, it's just calories and having a high protein diet. If you can stick to the calorie goal and not eat more and make sure you're actually counting everything correctly. And we've had issues too where it's like, it's a journey, right? It's a progress. Like, sometimes you're, you know, you accidentally have a soda and it's like, okay, let's just, what can we do now?
Yeah, so if you're confused on like how to measure out things, like, always ask your coach in the beginning. Like, if you're measuring like salad dressing and you don't think you have to count it because it's, I don't know why, you just think it's okay.
Well, just, you don't know. Like, we get it. Like, I had I think some of my first questions too, when I first started counting, I think this was like 8 or 9 years ago, was like, do I have to measure
olive oil on the pan?
Yeah. And it's like, duh. But at the same time, back then I didn't know. So I'm like, I'm not trying to be mean to you if you don't know how to do that. But it's like, yeah, it's a learning process. And yeah, so just really adhere and stick to the diet. And also, don't run yourself into the ground too. With these longer preps, you're not having to be in such a crazy low deficit that it's just, you can't even stick to the plan. Like, make sure you can stick to the plan. You want to be in a calorie deficit. You want the protein high. You want to be able to manage your fatigue a little bit and recover still, but we need to stick to the goal. We need to lose fat. We need to bring the body weight down.
Yeah, so I think we hit nutrition, the main thing, which I think I already said it, so I don't want to repeat it.
No, I think we can repeat it one more time.
Okay, so the main thing with nutrition is everything adds up. And so if you're taking extra bites of this and extra bites of that, or you're having an extra piece of bread and you think it's okay, like, it's not okay.
You're cheating yourself.
You're cheating yourself. You're 20 weeks out, you think it's okay, and then you get down to, you know, you're 5 and you're like, oh my gosh, like,
it's crazy because you think you're getting lean and you still got 10, 15 pounds or 20. You know what I mean? Like, you get, it's just a whole another level. When those lights are shining on you, got tan up, and that person who grinded their ass off for whatever, how many weeks, it doesn't even matter, but they put everything they had into it, and they have very little fat. Like, for a woman, had 8 or 9 % body fat, and you're sitting there at 12. It's revealed. It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to warn you right now. It's like she said, it adds up over whole contest prep.
Okay, and so the third thing we're going to go over in the mentality of an athlete is definitely recovery is huge, and you should take this, we take recovery super seriously. And yeah, things that go into recovery is just your time management, your stress. Hopefully you have a coach that is, telling you what to do, like your nutrition and your cardio and your training, because yeah, that could be stressful if you're doing it on your own. That's going to cause more stress and your cortisol to go up or whatever, because you don't know if you're ready in time. So yeah, definitely have a coach to help you out with all that, just so you can be 100 on what you have to do. And also stuff that comes into recovery is hopefully you got a good routine for yourself, got a good routine for yourself on prep and everything like that.
She nailed it, right? Stress and managing fatigue. So we're not just managing diet fatigue, but managing your performance and the fatigue you accumulate through volume and lifting weights, right? Resistance training. So yeah, and then another thing she didn't touch up on that I want to reiterate is like sleep. So
yeah,
sleep, whatever you can get. If you can get 8 hours, if you get 10 hours, that's great. Right? You want to make it a plan you can stick to if you have 2 jobs and you're a family person or whatever it is. So yeah, just really managing stress. It helps you keep muscle. It helps you look not like run down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, again, like we really just want to manage your fatigue here within your training, within your dieting. So yeah, this means like diet breaks and deloads for your training and just managing your stress and fatigue overall.
Yeah, maybe even more
stress.
even more steady state instead of starting HIIT 20 weeks out, doing like 15 intervals in one session. Like what? That's gonna that's
and on a hormonal
stressful.
level. On a hormonal level too, it's like, are you only sleeping 4 hours a night? You're not gonna really keep muscle that way and be able to recover from the training you're doing. And like hormonally, right, your cortisol is gonna be way higher than it needs to. Yeah. So it's definitely also another reason why we like doing such a long prep. It's like, instead of like rushing, you know, hitting this race and trying to rush these next 12 or 16 weeks, it's like we can kind of just, you know, things come up and it's about managing it all. So yeah.
Yeah, and also supplements too. I like to take supplements when I'm in prep. I think it helps with my recovery. You know, it's just that little extra bit. It's that little addition. So I feel like it adds up in the end with supplements. So yeah.
Just like calories, where it's like 30 extra calories a day. Same with supplements and fat burners and stuff. All that stuff adds up over entire 20, 30 week contest prep, and it does help. It does help if everything else is on point.
In conclusion, I just want to say that everything that we just said can definitely, like, giving your 100 to your prep and like giving your 100 to this, it can carry over into other areas of your life. Like after I did this contest prep and I gave my 100 to my nutrition, my training, like everything like that, like I now give 100 at everything else I'm doing. Like it carried over into my off season. Like I'm giving my off season at 100 like %. Like these things that you learn during a contest prep really like help you.
It's a lifestyle.
In other areas of your life.
It's a lifestyle. So it's like you make these new habits, you have this discipline, and maybe you even planned ahead for this. Like, wow, I'm going to do my contest prep for this many weeks for this show. Same thing with other goals, your school, business, whatever it is, right? You're trying to build a relationship with this person, this and that. It's having these goals ahead of you, and it's like these little small steps, small goals add up to the big goal. And that's life, right? And making it a lifestyle, and it's not just like this quick little fix. Yeah,
and just saying like no, like when you're out at dinner and people are, you know, they're drinking and they're like, oh, you're so lean, you can have a beer, you're gonna be fine, or you can have this piece of bread. You know, people mess with you when you're on prep, but if you can say no, like that first time, no, the second time becomes easier, and then you can say no a third time, and then you just really like build up like this.
Then they stop asking.
Yeah, then they stop asking, but then you can go home at the end of the night and just be, you know, it's like rewarding. Like, hell yeah, like I said no, and I stuck with my plan, and I stuck with my goal, and that's hard. It's hard to say no. It really is, especially if it's your first time prepping. Like, peer pressure comes in a lot. It does, especially. People don't really care. They think it's fine if you have an extra. They don't understand bodybuilding. Like, they don't get it. But, yeah, if you can say, like, no, you can, that first time, it really becomes easier and easier and easier, so.
Yeah, and then just to touch up on the last little thing I thought about was, at the end, when you've truly emptied your tank and you really just dug deep and you gave it your all, it's a lot easier to finish the whole goal and kind of feel like closure. You're like, wow, I gave this my all, you know, and I am ready for a little break. I need a year or 2 years or 3 years off or whatever it is. Maybe, you know, whatever it is. And then next time you go back, you just know you're going to bring it again. It's just like you're setting the standard for yourself of like, then every time you prep, you always will get that lean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially for me. That's why I'm so fine with taking a year off, because I gave it my all, and I emptied that tank. So
and if you didn't,
if I didn't what?
Give it your all and empty your tank.
Oh yeah, I'd probably be dieting right now. I'd be like, oh, I need a diet again. You know, so it's just like you gotta give it your all, because when you're done with your competition, you can really make good choices afterwards. Like, oh, I need a year off or something like that. So. yeah, I hope you guys liked this video.
I liked it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a great video. So if you have any questions that you want us to do videos on, make sure you are commenting some questions and we'll answer your video for you. Or answer your question
And
for you.
And liked it.
Yeah.
Like the video.
Yeah, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Especially when you like it and comment it, and this type of video can get out to other people.
Yeah.
And maybe help them before their prep. I mean, I would have loved to listen
Oh my
to
gosh,
this
someone
before.
did that. Hell yeah. So, alrighty, bye.